screening class. For my director's report, I went with Christopher Nolan. He is one of the most influential directors right now, and pretty much every movie he's made has had some kind of unique twist on time, memory, like how we experience reality, that sort of thing. Today I'm going to cover his background, major films, techniques he uses, and what scholars say about his work, and I'm going to connect everything to one specific movie, which is Inception, which is my essay number 2. His biography. So Nolan was born in London in 1970, and he grew up messing around with his dad's Super 8 camera for making small films, and he did that with his brothers. So what's interesting is he actually never went to film school. He studied English literature at the University of College London. That background is super noticeable because a lot of his work is like hyper focused on like story structure and character psychology instead of just like the visuals and like the look of the movie, which is how a lot of them go these days. His first real feature film, Following, was shot on weekends and basically had no budget. But his breakout was Memento in 2000, and that instantly put him back on the map because the way it told its story backwards was like super interesting and really captivated his audience. That film is still studied today because of just how original the structure is. So for the filmography overview, his key films were Memento, the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, which is my personal favorite, probably my favorite movie of all time, Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet, and Oppenheimer, which is pretty recent. So his filmography is pretty stacked, as you can see. He's done a lot of psychological thrillers like the ones listed, superhero movies, big sci-fi movies, and even some war movies, which have pretty much all of them listed here, actually. One of the big things about him is he's one of the very few directors still making huge original blockbusters that aren't sequels or part of some franchise that already exists, which I really appreciate that. Like, I'm not one to rewatch movies all the time. Studios also trust him with huge, like, multi-million dollar budgets because, I mean, he always delivers something ambitious and he's still a mainstream director. His most recent one, Oppenheimer, won a bunch of Oscars and got Best Picture, Best Director, so he's basically at the peak of his career right now. His styles and techniques, he definitely has a recognizable style. One of the biggest things he's known for is non-linear storytelling. So he loves playing with the order of events and just like the audience sense of time. You see this in Memento, Dunkirk, Interstellar, Tenet, Oppenheimer, pretty much all of his films. I don't know if this counts, but in Inception, like the dreams with each one being 10 times slower, that also kind of messes with time. Another thing is he prefers practical effects over CGI. So instead of like using green screens, he'll build actual sets and like have stuntmen do real stunts. Like the semi truck flip in The Dark Knight actually happened. Like they had to go on the street, flip a semi, and yeah, it was a whole debacle for him. But he would rather do that over CGI because he just likes making real movies, you know. Rotating hallway in Inception was real. They had to build like this entire like spinning hallway basically. It's crazy how they pulled that off. In Tenet, they crashed the plane into the building. It was an actual plane. He also shoots on IMAX cameras a lot because he wants the image to feel like just massive and immersive. And when it comes to themes, he's always exploring time, memory, identity, trauma, and moral choices. So a lot of his movies end in a way that's open to interpretation, which he does. He likes having his audience kind of think for themselves, so he does this on purpose. On academic research highlights, what I found was scholars and film researchers say about Nolan is that there's a few big areas to focus on, like his idea of subjective time. So basically, academics talk about how Nolan doesn't show time the way we experience it in real life. He kind of likes giving the first-person point of view, shows how the character feels it, like Memento, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk, and Oppenheimer too. And second, scholars talk about how he uses memory and identity in a philosophical way. So, like a lot of his films, characters don't fully trust their memories and they're shaped by some sort of guilt or trauma. This connects to real philosophical discussions about how memory shapes who we are. Thirdly, researchers like to look how he mixes realism with these giant blockbuster moments. Even though his films have huge budgets, he tries to keep the world feeling grounded because the stunts and effects are actually real and actually happen. And finally, he does a lot of writing talks about how Nolan basically changed superhero movies after The Dark Knight. He made them darker, more serious, and often more morally complicated. And a lot of other studios like just copying his style. I mean, he has great style. That's why he's a pretty much greatest of all time director, in my opinion. I know you're not here for my opinion, so for the film analysis, I'm focusing on Inception, which brings together almost everything he's known for. The movie follows Dom Cobb, who enters dreams to steal information. He's like this like weird FBI agent dude. But instead of stealing something, the idea is to plant a thought inside someone's subconscious, which Nolan uses to explore themes like guilt, memory, what's real, what's being imagined, all that through these dreams that he invades pretty much. The structure of the film is really important. There's multiple dream layers happening at the same time. Each layer has a different speed of time. So like 5 minutes in, one layer is like an hour. Like it gets really confusing because all the different times like warp together. Um, this really fits his idea of subjective time because the entire movie's tension comes from how time stretches and compresses from like which dream level he is on, quote unquote. Um, Use a lot of practical effects in the movie. The rotating hallway. I mean, I already talked about that, but like they actually had actors inside of it while it was spinning in the air. There's a whole hallway that they had built with rigs and moving sets. Crazy that they pulled that off. So that's why Inception feels so physical, even though it's just about dreams. Um, Deals a lot with memory and guilt, especially through Cobb's relationship with Maul, as she keeps appearing in the dream world even though she's dead, and she's basically the representation of Cobb's trauma. This connects directly with the academic stuff about identity and how memories, like painful ones, shape a person. And of course, the ending with the spinning top is classic Nolan. It's pretty ambiguous. I mean, it leaves the audience questioning what's real, and you don't actually know if he's still dreaming or if it's reality or what's going on. And it's like a real, it's a great ending to a great movie. For the conclusion, overall, Christopher Nolan he stands out because he mixes giant blockbuster filmmaking with deeper, more complex ideas about time, memory, like identity. He's one of the only directors today who consistently makes original movies on a huge scale, and his style influenced a lot of modern filmmakers. There's a lot of copycats off of him because he really just knows what he's doing. With Inception, you see his trademarks all in one film. I mean, he utilizes nonlinear time, practical effects, emotional themes, and a story that makes you think before it's even over. So that's why, in my opinion, in the conclusion, he is the most important director to study. I also have included a reference list, so some stuff I pulled off from the documents recommendations. So take a good look at that.